Alright, welcome back everybody. In this video we're going to talk about information from section 6.7 of AP Calculus, the Fundamental Theorem of Calculus and Definite Integrals. We're going to talk about the Fundamental Theorem of Calculus Part 2 today and how we can use that to actually find definite integrals. My opening text here, it says, hey, we're finally, it feels like we've kind of danced around this subject for a couple of days, weeks now even. We're finally going to talk about how we can find definite integrals algebraically by hand. Remember, we've already learned how to estimate them by using Riemann sums. We've learned how to calculate them by using areas of regions that are well defined. We've even found their values using the numerical integral feature on our calculator. And we should be prepared to still use any of those methods when they are appropriate. Okay, but now we're going to introduce the second part of the Fundamental Theorem of Calculus, which is going to enable us to find the value of these definite integrals algebraically. In order to do that, some vocabulary. First, the term antiderivative. An antiderivative of a function lowercase f of x is the function capital F of x, whose derivative is lowercase f of x. For instance, the function capital F of x equals x cubed is an antiderivative of f of x equals 3x squared, because 3x squared is the derivative of x cubed. Okay, so kind of play around in your mind with the idea of what an antiderivative is. We'll get plenty of practice doing that. Now, on to the Fundamental Theorem of Calculus Part 2. Here's what it says. If I have a function that is continuous at every point in the interval from a to b, and if capital F is any antiderivative of lowercase f on the closed interval from a to b, then the integral from a to b of lowercase f of x dx is equal to capital F of b minus capital F of a. This is also known as the Integral Evaluation Theorem. Okay, is another name for this. Not that you're going to need to know it by name, but what you want to see here is you want to see what's going on here. And basically, when we're taking the integral from a to b of some function lowercase f of x dx, in order to find the value of it, all we're going to do is we're going to find an antiderivative of it, f, and then we're going to substitute the upper limit of integration in, and we're going to subtract away what we get when we substitute the lower limit of integration in. That's it. That's how we're going to find these definite integrals algebraically by hand. Let's look at our first example. Example 1. Find an exact value for the following integral. So I want to find an antiderivative of the quantity 3x squared plus x minus 2. And I'm going to show you in this how I want your notation to look as well. So first we're going to find the antiderivative. What do I take the derivative of to get 3x squared? X cubed. What do I take the derivative of to get a plus x? Well, that's a plus 1/2 x squared. When I take the derivative of this, I get this. And what do I take the derivative of to get minus 2? That's minus 2x. So now I want to take this whole quantity, this antiderivative, and I want to evaluate it. And I'm going to just put a vertical evaluation bar here out at the end and leave my upper limit of integration and my lower limit of integration there. And what this says notationally is this says I'm going to take this antiderivative that I found and I'm going to evaluate it at 3. And I'm going to evaluate it at 0, and I'm going to take the difference of those two things. And now I'm going to actually go through that process. I'm going to substitute 3 in here for x, everywhere where there's an x. And I'm going to subtract away what I get, and I'm going to substitute 0 in here for x. And I'm going to calculate the values of these things. 3 to the third is 27. This is 9/2 minus 6. I always like when what happens here in the second part happened. I always like when that happens when I'm evaluating integrals. All of those values are 0, so we're going to just have a 0 to subtract away at the end. And now I've got 27 plus 9/2 minus 6. That's 21 plus 9/2. 21 is 42/2. 42 plus 9 is 51. And so the value of this definite integral is 51 halves. All right, there was example 1. All right, let's go ahead and move on to example 2. As we're moving through these examples in example 2, feel free to pause before each part of the example and try the example on your own, and then restart the video and see if you were successful. That would be a good idea for you here as you're learning this concept. So I'm going to go ahead and start the first one right now. All right, the integral from 0 to 1 of the quantity x squared plus the square root of x dx. I'm going to think about this as the integral from 0 to 1 of the quantity x squared plus x to the 1/2 dx. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to find an antiderivative of this. What is something that when I take the derivative of it gives me x squared? That's 1/3 x cubed. What is something that when I take the derivative of it gives me x to the 1/2? And that is 2/3 x to the 3/2. So there's my antiderivative. And I'm going to evaluate from 0 to 1. So this is going to be 1/3 times 1 cubed plus 2/3 times 1 to the 3/2 minus 1/3 times 0 cubed plus 2/3 times 0 to the 3/2. And so that ends up being 1/3 plus 2/3 minus 0 plus 0. And all that combines to make the value of that definite integral 1. Now, throwing this out there, we talked about, the numerical integral. As I'm practicing these, one quick and easy way that you can check yourself as you're doing these problems, I found this definite integral by hand. Let's go ahead and double check ourselves. We've got x squared plus the square root of x with respect to x from 0 to 1, and that should give us 1, and lo and behold, it does. All right, on to part B. Part B, I want to find a function that when I take the derivative of it gives me 4 secant of theta tangent of theta, and that function is going to be 4 secant of theta which I'm going to evaluate from negative pi over 3 to pi over 3. So this is going to be 4 secant of pi over 3 minus 4 secant of negative pi over 3. Oh boy, it gets very important here that we know the value of our trig functions at various values. The secant of pi over 3 is 2. This is going to be 4 times 2. And the secant of negative pi over 3 is also 2? Yeah, it sure is. And so it looks like the value of this is going to be 0. On to example C. All right, so we've got to find the antiderivative of x to the 1/3 minus x. So let's see, x to the 1/3, the antiderivative of that is 3/4 x to the 4/3. That's something that when we take the derivative of it gives us x to the 1/3. And the antiderivative of x is 1/2 x squared. We're going to evaluate that from negative 1 to 8. So this is going to be 3/4 times 8 to the 4/3 minus 1/2 times 8 squared minus the quantity 3/4 times 1 to the 4/3, or negative 1 to the 4/3, pardon me, minus 1/2 times negative 1 squared. So this is going to be, let's see, 3/4 times 8 to the 4/3 is 16. That's going to be 3/4. Negative 1 to the 4/3 is positive 1. It's 3/4 times 1. Negative 1 squared. And so this is all going to be equal to 12 minus 32 minus 1/4, which gives me negative 81/4 when I calculate all of that value. Okay, on to example part D, the integral from 0 to the natural log of 5 of e to the x dx. So we're going to take the antiderivative. What, when we take the derivative of it, gives us e to the x, and the answer to that is e to the x. And so this is going to be e to the natural log of 5 minus e to the 0. E to the natural log of 5 is just 5, and e to the 0 is 1. And so this ends up being 4 as our final value. All right, let's move on excuse me, to example 3. Evaluate the following: the integral from 2 to x of 3t squared plus 1. So notice here we've got an x as our upper limit of integration, but everything is going to happen the same. I'm going to take the antiderivative of this. The antiderivative of 3t squared is t cubed. The antiderivative of 1 is t. Because we're integrating with respect to t, that's what that dt tells us, which is why the antiderivative of 1 is t here instead of x or some other letter. And we're evaluating that from 2 to x. So we're going to put x in here everywhere where there's a t. And we're going to put 2 in here everywhere where there's a t. Oops. And that should be a subtraction there. And so we end up with x cubed plus x minus 10 as the value of this definite integral. Now I want to take a moment here. This is going to be the last example we do in this video, but I want to take a moment here for a Fundamental Theorem of Calculus Part 1 shout out. Okay, when we talked about the Fundamental Theorem of Calculus Part 1, we took the derivative with respect to x of this integral and we knew that that value was 3x squared plus 1. Notice, we just found the value of this integral right here. So taking the derivative of this integral is the same as taking the derivative of the expression that we found representing the integral. And notice when we take the derivative of this expression, what do we get? We get 3x squared plus 1. Notice that the two of those are the same. All right, little shout out to part 1 of the fundamental theorem and the connection to what we've got going on here in example 3. All right, that brings us to the end of this video. We'll be back for a second video on this topic, probably a fairly short one, with a few more examples related to the fundamental theorem of calculus part 2. Until then, have a good one. See you next time, and enjoy yourself. Have a great day.